In this video, I'm going to guide you through building your meals and snacks to ensure that you have sufficient energy to last you for 3 hours at a time. I say 3 hours because our aim is to sustain blood sugar or blood glucose levels. Now, glucose is the main fuel choice for our central nervous system, or CNS. If we don't get enough glucose, we're going to begin by getting mental fatigue, which also then will lead to muscle fatigue. Blood glucose levels reach their peak around 1 hour after meals. They then return to the pre-meal levels around 2 hours after that. Therefore, the recommended frequency for meals is around every 3 hours. Now I'm going to talk about meal goals. There are two main goals for meals. Number one is to provide your body with the nutrients that it needs to function optimally, and two is to give you enough energy to sustain you until your next meal. Now, all of your meals should contain a balance of nutritious foods that contain protein, carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, and healthy fats. The easiest and most practical way to create a meal is to use your hand as a tool with which to measure the portion size. We all have our hands with us all of the time, and generally our hands correlate to the size of our body. So a larger individual is going to have larger hands and a smaller individual will have smaller hands. Okay, that's fairly obvious. Also, it negates the need for us to have to use tracking tools such as scales or apps, which for most people are not sustainable and they're just not willing to do it. In terms of amounts, we'll begin with protein. Protein is the base of any meal, so it's one of the most important components of a meal. Everything else kind of builds around protein in a meal. So for protein, we're looking for 1 to 2 palm-sized portions. If we're looking at animal protein, we should also consider the thickness of the palm. Now for women, that kind of equates to around 80 to 110 grams of meat, and for men we're looking at 140 to 170 grams of meat, and this is a cooked measure. Then we move on to carbohydrates. We're looking for 1 to 2 cupped hand sizes of carbohydrates in a meal. Then we have fruits and or vegetables. So fruits and vegetables, we're looking at 2 handfuls again. If they're leafy greens, then you want to take almost a clawful, so you can get a lot more because they're a lot lower in calories generally. Most food that you eat, most meals, will have some fat present in the food that's there already. So there's not always a need to add fats into your meals. However, if you choose to do this, or if for example, your carbohydrate levels are lower, you prefer to follow a lower carbohydrate diet, then you may wish to add some healthy fats in which case you're probably going to be looking between 1 to 2 thumb sizes of healthy fats per meal. Now I will give some examples of each food group that will be present in each meal and explain why they're so important, what they do, and also give some examples of each food. We have protein, which I explained earlier is the base of the meal. It's one of the most important things in the meal, provides the most sustainable source of energy. It is also used to build and repair muscles and bones, and also to make hormones and enzymes. Examples of protein would be meat, fish, eggs, tofu, chickpeas, tempeh, nuts, things like that. What and how much to eat are important components to pay attention to if you want to optimize the amount of energy that you have throughout the day. Carbohydrates provide us with faster energy as well as fiber, vitamins and minerals. So examples of carbohydrates would be potatoes, pasta, rice, bread, oatmeal, these kind of things. Then we move on to fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables also provide us with carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals. Generally, they are lower in calories and also help to reduce the risk of many chronic diseases. So fruits and vegetables could be apples, bananas, berries, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus, etc. Healthy fats have many important roles in the body. As well as being an energy provider, they help reduce the risk of chronic disease, aid in the absorption of certain vitamins, and also help with brain development. Some examples of healthy fats would be fatty fish, whole eggs, nuts, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, just to name a few. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about snacks. Now snacks are here to help us bridge the gap between meals for energy. So if, for example, you feel like you just need a bit more energy to take you to your next meal, or if for some reason your next meal is going to have to be pushed back, this is when it's appropriate to plan in a snack. Now usually it's a good idea to have snacks with you, so either at home or in the workplace, so that you can just go to them when you need them. Now when we're talking about snacks, I would recommend that you don't go beyond 100 to 150 calories for a snack. Remember, they are not supposed to fill you, they're just supposed to bridge an energy gap, that's it. So some examples of snacks could be things like almonds, some low-fat Greek yogurt, or a piece of fruit, or maybe like half an energy bar. Now, take note that things like almonds and nuts, they can be dangerous. So you need to manage the amount. So if we're talking around 150 calories, you wouldn't be having any more than 10 pieces of almonds, for example. And that's not a lot. As some of you may know, it's very easy to go through a whole bag of almonds, which could be 1,000 calories or more. So just take note of that. And remember, you don't want to compromise your next meal by overeating your snacks, because that's going to defeat the whole object of managing your portion sizes in your meals. Next, we move on to hydration. Most people underhydrate themselves. So especially in hot climates like Singapore, where you tend to lose more fluid through sweat, it's very important to manage your hydration levels. Now, ways in which you can monitor this are to pay attention to the color and smell of your urine. So if your urine is a pale yellow to just about clear, then you are probably sufficiently hydrated. And if it doesn't have a strong smell. If it has a strong smell and is quite dark in color, then you're definitely in need of more fluids. Now, you don't want to necessarily wait until you're thirsty, because often that may be a little bit too late. So it's a good idea to have with you most of the time a bottle of water or a glass of water, and just keep filling it up and sipping on it throughout the day. You shouldn't be glugging all of your water at once. That's also not very good for you. So it's just gradual intake of fluids throughout the day. If you're exercising, of course, you're going to need to drink more, as you're going to lose a lot more through sweat, again, especially in hot climates like Singapore. So you will need to increase your water intake whilst you're exercising and also afterwards.